I am in LA. We have concluded the meet and greet, the LA meet and greet with the Stock Squad plus Chris Sane. And this morning I'm hanging out with my buddy Stock Up with Larry Jones.
Good morning.
And guys, I mean, I wanted to start off, Larry, what's that song that goes, all we do is win, win, win?
All we do is win, win, win.
So Bitcoin hit the prediction, the bold prediction that I gave weeks ago, guys. When Bitcoin was struggling with 36K, I came out here and said, guys, the Bitcoin party is not over. It's going to go to a minimum of 41K. And if it does, then the miners are going to follow and they're going to go much higher. Now, I bought Riot and Mara, and I did trade alerts in the Discord. In that portfolio that you can find in the Stock Squad Discord, you can see that I'm up 49%, Larry, on my Riot right now.
Yeah.
And the calls absolutely went through the roof. Now, the reason why I got Larry with me today is we are both trading and investing in the miners and in Bitcoin, and we get both getting questions, and some of what you've said, Larry, is a little different than what I've said, or at least what you're doing long term is a slightly different approach.
Absolutely.
And so, and that's been working. And I've made some strong predictions that Mara and the miners, CleanSpark, Hive, Hut 8, Riot, are actually showing weakness this time around. And I want to point out to you guys why I say that.
Yeah.
The last time that Bitcoin was 31K, when it shot up to 31K, Mara and Riot were already at 20K. 20. And so here we are. We just got this incredible, monumental move up on Bitcoin to 42K, which last Thursday, I told everybody on this page, I said, guys, I feel like this move is coming this weekend. And that's exactly what we saw. An absolute, another follow through prediction,
Absolutely.
Larry. So we got to 42K. And at that point, you would expect the miners, Mara and Riot, to be up at 25 right now. They've come up and they've hit my targets. They've even exceeded my targets, but they're still showing weakness from just earlier this year. And that's a concern. Now, the big question is, what is going to happen with Bitcoin and the miners between now and the end of the year? And the biggest question I get, Larry, and I'm actually going to throw it at you first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
The biggest question that I get is, well, Josh, but this whole BlackRock ETF and ARK ETF on Bitcoin, isn't that going to utterly change the Bitcoin cycle narrative? And you're not accounting for it, and you're not you're not planning on holding the miners long. You should be loading up right now for the big move that's ahead of us. You're being too cautious, right? Yeah. And you're going to miss the boat. Aren't you concerned, Joshua? Yeah. So, Larry, how have you taken that into consideration in your investing with the miners?
I have, and I am solid. I am very confident in my strategy, and that is that I can't really lose, right? So you guys know that I am DCAing. For those of you that have been watching my page in the Mara, Riot, BT, and Hut, right? And CleanSpark, right? Had you bought CleanSpark on the day I interviewed the CEO, you would be up over 80% right now.
Nice.
Not options, just the stock. So what I told you guys that I was doing from the beginning of November, I was DCAing, right? And so in one portfolio, I'm buying just small amounts, $25 a day, right? But when it cools off, and I believe it will, I don't believe it's going to be a hard drop. I believe it's going to be a slow bleed. When that does happen, I'm going to double up on my DCA. Now, I do that with one portfolio, Josh.
And can I ask you real quick, Larry,
Yes.
why are you choosing to take that approach specifically?
I'm taking that approach specifically because I do believe that this time around there are going to be some variances, some differences. And the reason why I'm taking that approach is what if it doesn't pull back I believe it's going to be a pullback, but what if it doesn't pull back as far as I think and you think it's going to pull back, right? So I'm doing that for security. I'm doing that for I don't want to miss, because it's hard to chase.
Yeah.
When that bull gets out of the gate, it's hard to catch him. right? So I'm doing that. But in my Moo portfolio, which there's a link below for those of you that are interested.
On that note, real
yes.
quick, if you need a better exchange for trading stocks,
Let me give you the music. Go ahead.
there's a link in the top pinned comment for Moo, and they're offering free stock. And there's also a link there for Webull that says also offering free stock. They do the ability to do fractional share investing. So check those out.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about this also. Of course, everybody's going to be covering it later today on my page too. I believe the Binance fall was good for crypto. And I've been saying that, I was avid to say something's going to happen to CZ. Binance has to show their hand, is what I was saying. I didn't trust them, blah, 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 blah. And
there had to be like some discipline,
purging.
some purging, some cleaning.
There
house.
had to be some purging.
Okay.
And so that purging is happening with crypto. The spot ETFs, I believe, are going to get approved, right? Especially the one with BlackRock. I believe they're going to get approved. Now, what I haven't done with Moo, all right, is I haven't bought big sums of Mara Riot, any of that.
You're just nibbling right now.
I just got like 5 shares of each.
Okay.
And ask me why, Josh.
Tell me why.
I'm glad you asked. I am waiting on the pullback. So I have 2 different strategies going.
Okay, so in a different account.
In a different account.
Okay.
So right now, I'm for my earning amount, $25 a day is nothing, right? You do according to what your earnings are, right? Or how much money you make. But for me, as you know, that's very small for me, $25 a day each. So if it goes up, it goes down, no big deal. It's only $25 a day. So I'm DCAing, and I'm DCAing until after the halving.
Okay.
Right? And so
it's a long-term goal.
It's a long-term goal. As you know, all of these crypto mining companies, even right now, will be 4X.
Yes.
So it's just allowing me to be in the game, and that's the set it and forget it, don't worry about it approach. In my other portfolio, when it does bleed off, when I see fit, I'm going to buy big sums. Mara, Riot, CleanSpark.
So you're not buying big sums of those right now?
Not at all.
All right.
Not
all right. Okay, well then. But you're buying some because you are not wanting to utterly put yourself in a situation where you could potentially feel that FOMO, that you're getting in and you're getting in a little bit more, and you're letting it talk to you and say, okay, maybe I will get in a little bit more.
Well, I'll tell you this, to be quite honest with you. Mostly I did a DCA for the public.
Okay.
I did it for the public because we've been through this before. I don't have short-term memory when it comes to crypto.
Yeah.
You guys know I made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of crypto last cycle. You and I know that most people won't buy when it's beat down, and they're going to wait until it take off to buy, right?
Yeah.
And when it goes up, people feel like, oh, it's too late, right? So you got that whole dichotomy. I was trying to simplify it for people that are going to work every day, can't charge it.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So you're simply DCAing, and all you have to do is just continue
kind of
to
set
DCA.
it and forget it.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let me dive into my thoughts on this and try to answer the question for those who have asked me, Josh, what about BlackRock? What about ARK? I'm going to tell you guys, this is my hardcore answer to you. So I'd say listen carefully. They were not like retail, and they don't FOMO. BlackRock, they do not FOMO, okay? So when the rest of retail was fearful to buy at 15K and were saying that it was going down to 12K, trust me, they might have been the guys allegedly, supposedly, who were spinning the narrative that it was going down to 4K, 10K, 12K. I fought that the entire time. When it was 15.5, I called the bottom, and I'm telling you that they bought the bottom, and they bought in very large sums. And if you don't think that Wall Street and these top firms will lock in profits because they believe some narrative or story, some future narrative or story where it's going to 100K or going to 500K, so they're not going to bother to lock in 100%.
Right.
Yeah, out of your mind, okay?
Josh, they think it's absurd to pay what we pay. Absurd.
Yes.
They're not FOMO.
No. So here's the bottom line, right? If you go back into the cycles, first of all, every single cycle had its big news story. Every single one did. It had its it had its rug pulls. It had its exchanges that were failing under unbelievable controversy. It's gone through all of this before. They had the formation of different vehicles of selling Bitcoin. All of that has happened before. And the fact is that we are really just, if you exclude all of the fundamentals and all of the news stories, the fact is technically it absolutely made sense for it to run up to 41K. And that's why I predicted that. Now,
Right.
when it hit 42, okay, it got rejected underneath the 41 that I had predicted, right? And this could be the top of the move. Okay. And when we saw it going up, we knew that it was time to buy the Maras, and the Riots and the miners. We made a ton of money, but I am not giving up on my view that the miners are showing weakness. We are up near a critical descending resistance on Bitcoin. And if it fails here, and if Bitcoin goes into a slow bleed between now and the halving event, which it's done every other cycle before. It's never done anything different. It never ran up all the way to the halving event, okay? So if it goes into a slow bleed between now and then, and were to come back even as low as 36K or 30K, the miners can come all the way back to their lows. Now, at the moment, I'm not predicting that. So I'm going to give you guys some fresh technicals on a couple of the miners. Right now, I see Mara absolutely having the potential. Resistance for Mara is $17. And if it stays above, I believe it was the 1280 price that I gave you guys, that's going to become support. So we could come back and we could hit the 1280 and bounce as long as Bitcoin were to stay where it's at. This thing could make another push, and it could absolutely go as high as $17.
I think you need to repeat because you know people
Yeah.
don't listen as long as Bitcoin stays where it's at.
Yeah, if Bitcoin stays where it's at and fluctuates in this range, Mara and Riot can continue to try to hit a peak and continue to go higher, right? If the prediction that I had made that Bitcoin would find hard resistance at 41K, and if it fails to break over, now let me comment on Bitcoin. Above 41K right now is the next area of resistance is 48K, okay? And so what we would have to see is after this beautiful massive run up, to believe that we're going to go on to 48K, we'd have to see a ton of volume flooding in. We're talking institutional buyers saying, I want a piece at 41K.
Right.
Look, over the weekend it went up.
Right.
Okay. Now, unless that happens, Bitcoin would likely begin to, momentum to the upside would slow down because it just had a massive push up. And if the momentum continues to slow down, it will apply selling pressure to all of the miners. I'm not saying the miners have peaked. Mara could hit $17. Riot has resistance at around $18. If it stays above the previous areas of resistance I gave you, those will be the next areas of resistance. But I am not at the moment believing that we are going to push up to 50K on Bitcoin right now. It's yet to be seen. We're up against resistance. I had predicted this back when we were at 28K. I said to you guys, if we get up above and close above 30, we're going to go on to 38, I think 38.
38.
And then I said to you guys that we would, if we stayed above 36, that we would go on and hit 41. We've got to take each level at a time. No, I personally do not significantly care about the ETFs. I don't believe that changes anything in the charts. For me, the biggest news story that could possibly happen, Larry, with Bitcoin and the miners, the biggest news story that would blow my mind is volume came in.
Okay. I'm slightly different on you.
Go ahead, man.
When that, I'm going to talk about that more on my show. I think it will short term. I think that the influx that we will get from the spot ETFs, right?
Well, I think you're misunderstanding me.
Okay.
I agree with you. You're talking about when those ETFs get approved.
Yes.
I'm referring to the current news story.
Oh, I agree with you then. Yeah. I'm glad we said that,
Yeah,
because I know someone else was like, huh?
So let me clarify that a little bit more as
Please.
well. Then people are saying, but Josh, what if it gets approved right around the corner? What if it gets approved this week? What if it gets approved this month?
That's
Okay,
next year.
guys, it's going to get approved when Larry Fink wants it approved.
That's the truth.
Okay.
Tell them who Larry Fink
Yeah,
is.
so he is the head of BlackRock. But here's the main thing, Larry, okay? Why, if they got this to run up from 15,000 to 42,000, why would they not take profit? Why wouldn't they run it down to 30K and then release the ETF? Okay, release the ETF. That's that meme, that
I look
classic
just
meme.
like it.
You look like that classic meme guy.
Yeah.
So run it up and sell it into retail, the FOMOers, the
Yes.
emotional buyers.
Yes.
Sell it to them at 42K, right? Pull it back down, get them all fearful again,
Yep.
right? And then release the ETF and run it back up from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It may not happen that way, but let me just make a
Yeah.
point, and I'm not saying this to be boastful. To date on this page, I have never incorrectly called Bitcoin. And right before this run, okay, when it was losing steam under 38, I actually predicted that it would fake everybody out, fall beneath 36, which was a critical area of support. That was going to be a liquidity sweep. I said it's going to fake everybody out, and then it's going to, within days, pump back above 38, and then we're going to see 41.
If you guys agree with that, like I do, leave a heart in the chat. Just hearts, because Josh is killing it. I'm changing your name. I'm calling you Chart Master.
Well,
Josh,
thank you.
What's up?
Thank
Chart
you.
Master.
Well, on the note of chart mastering, let me just throw out a couple more things for you guys. I hope that you understood the storyline and the timeline, because people have heard me say Mara's going to $5. I absolutely believe that's possible. If Bitcoin pulls back to 30, they can pull Mara all the way back to 5.
Can I?
Yeah.
This is very important and serious. A lot of you keep saying 5, right? Now, he just gave you new data on this time frame. You can't go back to a video from 3 months ago or 2 months ago or even 6 weeks ago and still hold that as the law of where things are going to come. It's important for you guys to watch every video, because catalysts change, charting change, directions change, support and resistance change. So when that change, then we have to change accordingly, okay? So investing is not set it and forget it. I'm pretty sure Josh is going to talk about the importance of Bitcoin closing and holding. And just because it hit doesn't mean anything. It could turn around and go back down. So could you?
Well, okay, so
yeah.
at this moment in time, what you're looking for in Bitcoin is what I call the FOMO wick. Okay, the FOMO wick is a giant rejection wick. We don't have that. So if the top of the candle, the daily, the weekly, the monthly candle, if it stays flat, it means that we may push up to 48K.
Right.
Now, personally, just to be clear, because I want everyone to remember what I'm saying about the $5 Mara and the $6.80 Riot. I have absolutely not taken those off the table. We have not gotten to the bearish moment that typically occurs right after we've come up out of the crypto winter. We get a final peak. That was what just happened this weekend. 42K may have been the final peak. After that, there is a hard kind of a decline over the course of the period of time that runs up to the halving event, right, which is April 2024, and it gets a kind of it tests the low. I'm saying the low could be 30K, but the low could actually be lower, right? If Bitcoin gets back to 30K, that's when I said that these could go as low as $5 and $6.80. Now, it is possible that this does not play out. At the moment,
hence my $25 a day.
Correct.
You see how I'm playing. My strategy is slightly different from Josh's, but you see I'm just buying myself a little security. I'm trying to think of the other word. and leverage so I don't miss. And I really did this for you guys that don't understand all of this, so you guys could be in. But I do have my stop losses set on even my $25 a day.
Well, so let me address your. So my version of what Larry did is this: I strategically watched these plays. I covered them all the time, and when Mara was $8.40, which was around that time one of the lowest prices it hit, I bought 1,000 shares. I bought 2,000 shares of Riot, and I told everybody in the Discord, it's in the portfolio. There's receipts over there now. So you're saying, well, Josh, you said it's going to $5. Guys, when it hit those levels and it gave me buy signals and volume signals that predicted this move we're in right now, I bought, and I told you guys on the page I was buying and over in the Discord. And so if we never get down to $5 and the $6, I haven't sold any at the moment. I'm raising my stop losses. So I may never be in, I may own a couple thousand shares at incredibly awesome prices. And I may never have to go back to that point, because if we stay up in this region and I don't cash out, well, then I'm holding what I needed to hold. I got in strong. So I hope that this helps you guys. I hope that it's not too confusing. Go ahead.
One thing, because I know that there's that one or two persons that's even listening right now, that if Mara comes down to 650 and that's the bottom, they haven't bought one thing, and that's all they're going to stick to is Josh said it was coming to 5. Somebody is listening right now. It will go to 501, and they're going to say Josh said it was coming to 5.
It's true. It's true.
So let me help to protect what you're saying, because some people are not truly listening. Everything you heard about Mara Riot, all of those until now, use this video as your benchmark. And then in a few days from now, if things change, forget about this one. Use that one as your benchmark, because things change. What he's saying is he sees a path to the 5-ish range, right? But he's also saying that is not 100%. So it's up to you to do your own due diligence and your own research. We're just laying out what could happen. And
I like everything he said, but I'm going to add a little tweak to it. I'm going to say, put some respect on my name, Stocks with Josh, because so far, these minor calls, support and resistance in Bitcoin, they haven't been wrong. And so far, the predictions I made months ago and recently may play out exactly as I predicted. I want you guys to understand the predictions, because in all of the predictions, there's timing, right? And I want you guys to understand that. Larry, I'm going to wrap it up. I got a couple more things I want to talk with these guys. Guys, real quick, another prediction, and it's going to be for a follow-up video, is my VFC, which has been a long-term prediction and a long-term accumulation, and people were getting scared, but they didn't need to, because right now it's up beautifully, called the trough of accumulation perfectly. If you're in VFC, put an acknowledgement of that. And guess what, everybody who's in VFC with me? We printed a buy signal on the weekly time frame chart, which means that we probably got in at the absolute best possible price, and we could be in for a long-term run-up on VFC. Now, guys, I use stop losses. Now that I feel we've hit the bottom, I'm going to be pulling my stop loss up more, right? So that I have the potential at some point very soon to not have the ability to lose anything. And I want you guys to be mindful, because the stop loss is an extremely important strategy to my winning. And with Bitcoin, I'm not going to sell any, and I don't have a stop loss on Bitcoin. So everybody understands that I don't have a stop loss on Bitcoin, right? I do have stop losses on Mara and Riot, right? And so I'll update you guys if anything gets triggered there. And then I will also shout out, Larry, that in the Discord, which is the Stock Squad Patreon, there's a link in the top pinned comment. It's the 4 of us. You get Larry's wisdom, you get mine, you get Steen and Grace, and Stock Mo. In the Discord on Friday, I told everybody Baba wasn't giving me the strength it needed to give me.
that.
All right. Now, on top of it, when we were at the meet and greet, I had a group of people gathered around me and were asking me about Baba. And they said, Josh, I think Baba's looking pretty good. I think this thing's going higher. And I said, it didn't give me the volume. It didn't give me that volume, right? This morning, those are up 30%. It's an 100% accurate call. I just want you guys to follow so that you guys can win. That's going to wrap me up. I also want to shout out APLD.
Yeah.
APLD, I called it last week as a buy at $4.60. It hit $5.80 in just, I think, the last 3 days.
Okay.
Right? And so don't miss these predictions on these calls. I'm going to be beginning to do a weekly trade alert, specifically what I'm going to call it. It's not a slow moving stock, but it's not an option. It's a little bit easier for some folks that aren't trading the option. I'm going to begin to do a weekly one, setting up Sunday for Monday to play through the week. Last week was APLD and some of the miners, and I threw in SoFi. This week, SoFi is looking good. I'm going to update that here soon. But that brings us all up for today. Thank you, Larry, for joining me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, stock master.
Thank you, sir.
Stock
Appreciate
master,
your
Josh.
wisdom in this show today. I think it was
Yes.
very helpful to people.
Yeah, let's listen to what he said, but also listen to the caution that he had.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so let's, guys, hit that. Thank you for hitting the like today. Hit the subscribe if you're looking for the updates on these plays and those alerts. Thank you guys for joining me today. Peace and blessings. Take
Peace.
care.